Well, so we've gotten to the point where we have to do great discussions. And we'll be having in the studio Neil Lante van der Poy. He's a member of parliament for the Ododo constituency, and Emmanuel Tremanting. He's a member of parliament for the Ayawaso West Gong constituency. But we know that the president had been talking about the subject of the Sustainable Development Goals, and he says that the need for the integration of milestones set under the Sustainable Development Goals in programs and activities of African government to end poverty and unemployment on the continent were imperative. According to him, the 17 goals set under the SDGs may not be realized unless it is adopted as part of the development plans of government across the African continent. Leading a roundtable discussion on the Sustainable Development Goals report on Africa, President Nana Dankwa Akufo-Addo said, though the goals expected to be achieved by 2030 hold greater hope for Africa, only committed and selfless leadership could fast-track their realization.
SDGs will take bold ambition in thought and actions, creativity, innovation, hard work, and most critically, connecting to the positive and abundant energies of the youth. Second, the story of Africa's hitherto inability to develop is primarily the story of bad governance and our damaging colonial heritage. We must make governance and our governance systems work for the eradication of poverty and the creation of prosperity and wealth. And as we embark on this path, we must commit to building accountable and transparent institutions. Third, we cannot grow out of poverty and achieve the SDGs through charity and the benevolence of others. If we are going to succeed to move Africa beyond aid, this cannot be a mere slogan. It will take doing business differently and making the tough choices necessary to accelerate inclusive growth in the economy. Fourth, there's no doubt in my mind that a key accelerator to achieving the goals is a strong and vibrant private sector, which has the space to grow and flourish.
And the president of Rwanda, Paul Kagame, rather wants deliberate attention on encouraging private sector-led investment to ensure growth and poverty reduction across Africa.
Integrating the SDGs into these plans and ensuring the implementation cannot be successfully achieved by government alone. This is why strong collaboration with the private sector throughout the process is critical for reaching a win-win situation. For example, the financing gaps for major projects can be filled by private sector investment through appropriate de-risking mechanisms provided by the public sector and other partners. Second, we now have an ambitious development framework to engage all countries rather than just developing ones.
Well, so we know that this was convened here in Accra, but let's do some few discussions on it. But as I do the introduction of my guests, know that we're coming to you live from Kokomemle here in Accra on the digital address 099-3341. Just in case you haven't downloaded the Ghana GPS, please make sure that you do so. Go to your App Store or the Play Store and download if you're using the iPhone or a normal Android system. Very easy for you to do so. But I have Neil Lante van der Poy, who was a former Minister of Sports, Deputy for Trade, as well as local government and rural development. He's the current Member of Parliament for the Ododo constituency. He's here. Good morning to you, sir.
Good morning.
He has great political ambitions too. It's not up for discussion, though. What's up for discussion is the Sustainable Development Goals, and helping us also do the discussions is going to be Emmanuel Tremantinge Jako, Member of Parliament for the Ayawaso Westward constituency. He's a regular. He doesn't want me to be mentioning that, so well, good morning to you. He's the former chief executive for the FDA.
Then you must also say that I used to be a pharmacist in Kolebu Teaching Hospital.
Yes.
A situation I really enjoyed when I finished.
He's also an entrepreneur too in the pharmaceutical industry.
Say again. You enjoyed that one more than the political life?
Oh, I had just come out from school and it was fun working. That was my first experience at work.
But
thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Roland.
thank you too.
Good morning to you.
Yes,
good morning to
you. And I know that.
And good morning to viewers, most especially
the constituency.
My cherished constituency in the Ayawaso West Wogon constituency. let me use this opportunity to send my most heartfelt condolences to the very unfortunate incident that happened in Commonwealth Hall over the weekend. I think it was so unnecessary. I mean, for how long will you fight? For how long will you argue? For how long will you go through this? I hear this thing started on a bus when they were coming from Amahia. And it went on until both of them were disembarked. This must be a clear sign that stop this. Stop this.
And especially their level of education.
I am completely distraught. I am completely distraught. You know, and for me, as an MP for the area, you know, sometimes Commonwealth Hall has a certain image. And for such a thing to happen there, may be reinforcing a certain stereotype, which I think is really not true. I haven't lived there, but I have engaged the good students there. I have attended several of the functions they do. I think it is unfortunate, and I can't believe it happened. I really and truly can't believe it will get to this extent. I mean, what to provoke a young man after verbal argument to snatch a knife, and even if it was one stab, but just, you know, many times the chief psychiatrist will say that all of us suffer from
one level of madness,
from a certain level of instability, mental health. I mean, just as my stomach will hurt me or my leg will hurt me, my brain or the central nervous system could also hurt me. I hope and pray that this young man, when he goes through, will be found to be a little unbalanced, because I don't see how a normal, ordinary human being would be so angry with his friend, and they are friends.
No, but you are giving some indications to his counselor.
No, no, I'm not. I really and truly am not. I mean, I hope that we can find a plausible reason why this has happened. If it is just, I got so angry and I did this, it will be unfortunate. Really, really. I mean, what worries me is for anybody to sit back and then begin to say, Yankan Chemo, Commonwealth Hall, that is all they are famous for. I don't think it is.
What even surprised me was the fact that he even joined people to take the gentleman to the hospital. It means that the temporary insanity was there. That momentary madness, you know, he just did what he did and then regretted. Within the short period, regretted. That's what I send my most heart. I mean, I think one of the worst things that could happen to a parent is to be called to say that. Yeah. And if the boy was unwell and was in hospital, and all of us see life slipping out, but he fought and somebody stabbed him. Oh my goodness.
May his soul rest in peace.
May his soul rest in peace.
All right. And we know that in Africa, we always say that we want to make sure we improve the livelihoods of people, reduce poverty, education. Now we even have a free SHS system and all that. But realistically, now we have sustainable development goals. could it always be that we need to have these benchmarks and that we have to work towards them and improve the way we improve the livelihoods of our citizens?
Well, thank you very much, and let me also join my brother in saying and extending my condolences to all the alumni of Commonwealth or the Vandals. They are our friends. The Vikings are very close to the Vandals, except that sometimes they want to extend their dominion beyond their jurisdiction, which we, the people of Okpongolo, will always resist. But it's send one message out there that sometimes anger need to be controlled, no matter the circumstance, because it could lead to certain things. And it all boils down to what we're talking about. In times of poverty, in times of deprivation, when people do not really have things to hold on to, the tension, the stress, and the depression sometimes evolve and make people do things that they are not supposed to do. And I think that is one of the reasons why we think that through the Sustainable Development Goals, the reduction in poverty, deprivation, squalor, and the rest are the things that African leaders must ascribe to. African leaders must be focused on how to reduce poverty, how to reduce deprivation, squalor, and the rest. In other words, we should embark upon programs, socioeconomic programs that will be sustainable, that will reach out to everybody, that will not lead to discrimination, that will not leave some people behind, that will be all inclusive, and make people feel that they belong to society. Initially it was the Millennium Development Goals, but African leaders sat through, and also the United Nations, they said, oh, some of the Millennium Development Goals have limitations because we are setting certain targets, and after that target, what do you do? So now let's rather evolve programs and policies that will be sustainable, that will have an indefinite relationship with the people and the economy. So that when we are even embarking on economic policies, we must be sure that those policies we are embarking upon will be sustainable and will not create exclusivity, will involve everybody and everybody will benefit from it, not today's generation, but generations to come after. It's a good thing. Some of them is education, health, water, shelter, clothing, the basic things of life. But key in this is also about how amongst ourselves we will be able to create the market and the trading partnership in order to grow our economies, so that through the growth of our economies we'll be able to transfer resources to the building of the socioeconomic needs of our people. So I think it's a very important thing. Yes, that we have to set those goals, we have to set those policies, because if we don't, and what I like about the SDG is the fact that it's like a mechanism or a roadmap for all African leaders, that all African leaders must be aimed towards achieving this. And as such, I'm expecting that under the African peer mechanism, review mechanism, they'll be able to draw each other's attention to lapses within its own goals. But to some extent, I think Ghana, even though we are still behind, one of the areas where we are lacking seriously is the area of civil registration and vital statistics. We are done well in terms of water, electricity, and now with education, with free education. What we need is to meet the challenges that have come up with it, and then we'll be good. But health is another area, and that's what led to the provision of the idea of CHIPS compounds to make health more accessible to rural communities and the needy. We need to look at all those things. Now we've done well with social infrastructure, energy, what we need to improve our road system, and when we have done that, we'll slowly be getting to that level. One thing that worries me is that as to enhance the SDG and also to bring us closer to one another in terms of trade, we try as much as possible to bridge the gap in our ECOWAS markets. That has been a very elusive thing for us. Today it's very difficult for you to travel from Accra to Lagos than it is for a camel to go through the eye of a needle. You know, it's difficult. And those are the things we need to do, break barriers, and then we'll be able to achieve trade among ourselves. We are talking about the population, just West Africa population of about 350 to 400 million. That is a huge market. So if we can trade among ourselves, we'll build our social economies very well and be able to help our people. That will even help us. For example, if the health system in Ghana is better than that in say, Togo, they can fall on Ghana. If the education system here is better than that of another country, we can. So then it will create a common market for us.
And we know that when you take Africa, it's always the Northern African region and the Southern African region that seem to have that likelihood of achieving the status quo of having a middle class or a middle
upper middle class.
Upper middle class status, I mean, evenly across their populations. What then is the difference that in sub-Saharan Africa we still have great indicators giving us indications, like for example education, access to health, water, giving us the indication that we're likely going to have a long time in this world in achieving equally, having our population get access to some of the basic things that the West take for granted?
Well, Roland, I think that initially we had the Millennium Development Goals.
Yeah.
It finished
2015 it was.
Is it 2015?
Yeah.
There were a set of
when they were set in 2000, we thought 2015 would never come.
Yeah,
really.
It was a set of objectives that were supposed to be achieved mostly by developing countries. We went through that. In Ghana, I think that we were happy to announce that out of this 15, we did well in some, and I think we didn't make 4 or 5.
Yes, we didn't make 4
or 5 of the targets. We have poverty. We have extreme poverty. And we did some good things for ourselves. Then, as a continuation, because probably when it was evaluated, they found that it had done some good for some of the developing countries. A new scheme was, and that was a Sustainable Development Goals. I think it is all well and good. But you see, I reflect and ask, must somebody outside set benchmark for you as a leader? I mean, if I elect to put myself up as a leader of a country, if I contest elections, okay, if I will tour the length and breadth of a country and canvass and say, vote for me, implicitly, when you are asking the people to vote for you, you are saying that I have something to make your lives better. Sometimes I am happy we have signed on to the SDGs. I am extremely happy that His Excellency the President is co-chair of a forum that is pushing this. But sometimes I want to say that as leaders, we don't need to be nudged by outsiders. It is said, the people that study management, they say that there is an axiom. Leadership is cause, everything else is effect. I think that if people put themselves up to be leaders, they must care about the people that they went to canvass their votes from. And I think that His Excellency the President was alluding to something like this when he spoke at this roundtable conference yesterday. I mean, the only reason why I am president is to make the lives of my people better. It is good to have SDGs, but I am saying that even without SDGs, if there was never a Millennium Development Goal, if there was never an SDG, once you put yourself up for leadership, it is incumbent on you to ensure that the life of your people gets better. You know, we are sitting here talking about the challenges of just traveling from Accra to Lagos. I've done it once or twice. It is mind-boggling.
45 minutes it is, or even 30 minutes.
No, the distance between. No, I'm not talking about road travel.
Road travel.
Oh no,
Really?
it's stressful.
I mean,
I've been on it a couple of times. I think several times really in my career.
and you just ask yourself, why would
immediately you cross our borders, it's as if you're in a forest.
Why would really and truly, why would a Togolese custom officer or immigration officer want to make life impossible for somebody coming from Ghana? We are the same people. The man either speaks Ewe and he's a brother to the Ewes in the Volta region, or he speaks something which is in the middle belt. In some people in the Volta region, there's this Kotokoli. There are large numbers of Kotokolis in Togo. There are large numbers of Kotokolis in Ghana. So if you're a Kotokoli border officer and you see a Ghanaian who is a Kotokoli, why do you give him such problems?
Because we're almost like one and the same people, right?
We are one and the same.
The cultural differences are just minute.
No, we won't even see it.
Just minute. It's
same color, same people. And
do we still have the excuse of imperialism, colonialism?
Well, you see, I think that.
Why should we?
I think that sometimes I have had opportunity to, when I used to work in a regulatory agency, we were attempting to do a harmonization of our. It was extremely.
I remember I spoke to you on a few.
The Anglophone Francophone dichotomy is so deep-seated.
That is the problem.
Okay, but you know, all of us have become independent 50 years or more. Why must we always hold on to what the colonial master did? The colonial master is gone. We are independent African states. I mean, you ask yourself, why is ECOWAS not working? Why is AU not working?
ECOWAS is even working than
I'm
even
not
AU
sure.
or
Sometimes I think that AU is even working better than ECOWAS.
AU is better.
maybe the rate at which we expect ECOWAS.
You know,
because of what
ECOWAS has been since 1975. We move 2 steps forward and come back 3 steps. And then we go 4 steps and come back. We don't seem to be moving. You see, I don't want to derogate from the discussion this morning. We are talking about sustainable development goals, and it is set for 2030. We must work hard at it. But what I am saying is that you don't need an external barometer for me as a leader, to work hard to improve the lives of the people in Ayawasu West Wogon. You know, I put myself up for elections. So necessarily, I must seek I mean, otherwise, what is it for? Why would somebody in a country XYZ seek to be president and the whole of the state resources placed in his hands? And you do something else. Time was when we heard that after some presidents had left, we were told that they had taken $5 billion of the country's money and placed it in banks abroad. I mean,
for which, let's say, 300 will have to be repatriated later.
I mean,
just recently we're just hearing of that.
You understand me?
Yeah.
So yes, by all means, let's do SDGs. But I think that as a people, we must wake up. Okay. I don't believe that a certain color of a person is better than another color.
Yeah.
But you see, in some of the places that we all look up to and everybody wants to go to, there was a certain, this attitude prevailed in building up the nation.
Yes. Okay.
When the Americans left, when they left Britain in Mayflower and go to America, they talked about the love of liberty, the love brought us here. And in all the things they sought to construct, it was about fairness, it was about openness, it was about improving the lot of the ordinary man, to bring peace, what I believe in. You know, but it does appear that maybe sometimes I think that the first set of our leaders that sought independence for most of Africa misunderstood something a little.
Yeah, they may have lost. What in your final contribution to this, when you travel, especially you, and I was surprised, well, you visit Northern Africa, Southern Africa, you go to Europe, and let's say you go to America, then the last bit of the new exploratory travels you can do is go to China, which has been opened up all of a sudden. Then you see that, well, there's something maybe wrong, because even the least village or the less developed village in Europe, it has the best sanitary practices, has the best of facilities, even if they have the worst comparable to what exists in their country. But they may have been working on a certain plan or with a certain plan. We seem in Africa, in West Africa, to be developing without any plan. Now, is that not going to be a problem? We have sustainable development goals, but in country, we have no plan. MPP doesn't come to go on a certain trajectory with a plan. NDC doesn't come to go on a certain trajectory with a plan. That should be problematic, is that not?
Yeah, I agree with you. I'm saying that one of our problems here, where all those things, all those places you mentioned, East Africa, South Africa, the Maghreb, the Northern Africa, and all those things, are not as directly divided as we are in West Africa. What my brother alluded to, the Francophone-Anglophone divide, has seriously affected us. If you go to the whole of South Africa, apart from their ethnic groupings, you understand, they all are common people. They speak the same language. They do the same things. North Africa, the same. They are all Arabs. There is no critically a French Arab or Anglophone Arab. They are all Arabs. But here, between Ghana and Nigeria, two Francophone countries, who are still holding on to the apron strings of their colonial masters up to today. You understand? And so it's difficult. Whilst the Anglophones are pushing towards a particular direction, the Francophones are being directed by their people out there to go towards a certain direction. So that's the problem we have. I agree with you. You see, in development agendas, those people have what they call a nationalistic development program. We have suffered a little bit from inconsistency in our political life, and as such, all the people who have come with their own ideas of development, what I want to do, and then we also look at issues pertaining to developing certain areas. Like my brother said, if we are taking issue of education should be encompassing. It shouldn't have been that, a particular group of people will need scholarship and some people wouldn't. So if it's a scholarship for all. If it is water, let's not think about Accra. Let's think about the whole country. How do we get water to every part of the country? If it's about electricity, why should some people have electricity before some people have electricity? Look, as I'm talking to you recently, there was a serious issue in Ethiopia. And take it from me, it's one of the fastest developing countries in Africa. But you know, the people outside Addis Ababa, towards the north, recently were up in arms because they said what? Development is not reaching them as fast as it's reaching the central part and the south. You understand? So that is the problem we have had as African countries as compared to the Americas and Asia and the rest. When they are thinking about development, they are thinking about the generality in the whole society. Unlike us, where we want to do things in pieces and in bits. So that's the difficulty. If we remove those webs, I think we'll be able to reach far.
But one of the good things, though, is making sure that education, especially if not all levels, at the second cycle level, is given to everybody. And Emmanuel Chamate Jako keeps mentioning Yabedu, who roasts plantain on Lagos Avenue. And the son is enjoying free SHS. But of course, we know that
you know that
it's been fraught with some difficulties.
You know that it is
real.
No. The I think part of the SDGs is about improving
education.
Secondary
Education,
education. So you see, like I was saying, you don't need an SDG. Our president does the thing without.
It's in our constitution.
Well,
at the end of the day,
constitution don't get legs where it they run.
Yeah.
It takes a bold leader to carry him.
But there was this event that was put together by the Accra Metropolitan Assembly, addressed also by various heads, minister for the region, AMA boss, and then the Minister of Information. And the minister,
town hall meeting.
Yes, the minister said, well, they acknowledge apparently there are problems with the free SHS, but really they need some time to address some of these challenges because they are being addressed. Let's have a preview of that story, and then we'll come and have some discussions on it.
People that let us bear with the challenges of free SHS. Let us not allow anybody to deceive us that because there are challenges, let us cancel the system. I beg you, if we cancel it and continue the way that we used to continue, this country will never ever develop.
He said government could rightly claim credit for stabilizing the electricity supply.
Well, so that's the way to go. You start it and you make sure you push on despite the hurdles. Is that not the way to go?
Roland, I have sat in this chair and stated time without number the same position. There is not the Chinese. I hear the Chinese are saying that the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a step. Roland, in this country, I keep emphasizing, in this country, there is a history of a bold attempt to give education to everybody. The first president of the Republic, Kwame Nkrumah, decided that every child must go to primary school for free. The infrastructure was not there, the teachers were not there. That is when teachers became what? You understand me? So people who had finished, sometimes even just middle school leaving certificate. And if you're lucky, you get somebody who had finished secondary school. Were all drafted to become teachers. That was, maybe the trained teacher was just 1/5 of what was needed. There were no buildings. So Kwame Nkrumah decided that we will do shifts. People's school will start at 7:30 in the morning and close at 12:30. And the second shift will start at 1 and close at 5. Look, there were real challenges.
You didn't go through shifts, so that's it.
I tell you, I went to KO Methodist Primary School.
Oh, you did go through shifts after all.
Somehow my school didn't do shit.
Great.
But a lot of...
That's all I've been saying.
The point I am making, Roland.
KO is Konongo Dumasen.
No, KO is it's in Ashanti New Town. World famous school. I'm surprised you haven't heard about it.
KO.
Produced one of the best, some of the best leaders of our country, like him.
You know, Roland, there were even incidents where the child will tell the mother that I go to in the morning, and you will not go to school. And
you mean those days, or that had
truancy? There was a challenge of truancy. Teachers were not just there. Trained teachers, that is, I am saying, and the educational historians will know all of this. Roland, but that president was bold to say it will continue in spite of the challenges. Nobody. And I am saying that the day the free SHS policy was launched, His Excellency the President was categoric. He said that we will falter, but we will not fail. As for faltering, we will falter. When you attempt a bold initiative like this, nobody will say that it will come easy. So I say with the minister, and I want to encourage the president, we will falter, but we will not fail. We will not withdraw this. We will not step back. The challenges over a period will be corrected. Yes, we agree that there is not enough. There is not enough sleeping places. There is not enough eating places. There is not enough of anything. Brother, but amongst ourselves, in our own homes, we don't find money to do all the things we want to do for our children. But we cut and paste. I tell you, I don't know whether it was here I said, last week 2 weeks ago, I was at church at Harvest. And the pastor was explicit.
Harvest Chapel.
No, I was at a Harvest at a church in my constituency.
Harvest.
Yeah. And the pastor
That's
was
what
explicit.
we don't do Harvest anymore.
He says, what is all of this talk? Don't our children sleep on the floor when they are with us at home? So what is this big thing?
Of sleeping on the corridor.
Yeah, I mean, I tell you, one of the schools that,
so you feel the NDC is making a
one of the schools that is spoken about is in my area, Club. Okay. I agree. But you know, sometimes you sit back and say, in 2009, when the NDC took over, they said that the Kufuor government had changed secondary school from 3 years to 4 years. And we were lambasted as irresponsible. We didn't make arrangements for sleeping place and for dormitories, for dining halls, for classrooms, and everything. So I think that they started a program of accelerated construction of facilities for secondary school. A plank of the NDC campaign in 2012, one of the promises they made in the 20 was that by the end of 2016, they will build 200 secondary schools. The NDC government went for an IDA facility of over $100 million to upgrade secondary schools. If all of these things have happened, then if their trump card, what they tout as having done better than anybody else, including Kwame Nkrumah, the NDC said they have built more secondary schools than Kwame Nkrumah. If they have, then we shouldn't be suffering the infrastructure deficit.
Why not?
But they are the ones who told us they have built 200 secondary schools. Are they not? Brother, didn't we all live in this country? Didn't President John Dramani Mahama promise that by the end of his first term or his second term that he finished, he will build 200 secondary schools? Really and truly, if he has accomplished that.
But we are not eating up all of it.
Oh, come on. Okay, so I mean, if you didn't, why is it that somebody begins to do something and you think that in 1 year you begin to criticize it? I think it is dishonest. But let me state again, we are not oblivious of the challenge. We are mindful of it. This government has set out a program to meet it. We will not finish in a day, but just as Nkrumah did primary school and did shift. Today, if you go to Kolebu and you ask, half of the doctors that are working there went to shift. And if there was a bold leader, probably the people you find as doctors and accountants and lawyers and teachers and journalists would not have had opportunity to go to school. The journey of 1,000 miles begins.
It's a great 2020 speech.
Let me say, Roland, first I want to make certain points clear. Nobody in this country has said that free education is not good. In fact, our constitution mandates this country to work progressively towards free education. It's a constitutional mandate on all of us as a people. And as such, every government, time memorial, has worked closely to. In fact, the aspect of free education even has started with basic education, where we have free compulsory universal basic education, where it's even a crime for parents to prevent children from going to school to access education. Yeah. So basically this country has adopted that policy, and it is mandatory on every parent to ensure that the child has education. 2, almost every government in this country, in one way or the other, has worked towards achieving that in various forms. The NDC has never at no forum has anybody in NDC said that free education is not good. We wouldn't have preached the progressively free education if we felt it wasn't good enough. We worked at it, and we decided, since 2008, Professor Mills, and then in 2012, John Dramani Mahama always trumpeted the issue of progressive free education. In fact, it is not today that it started. When I was a student at Legon, and this issue of cost sharing was coming in, one of the easiest things we found our way out was that it should be progressive. That's why we moved from Alawa to SNIT loans. First through commercial bank and then to SNIT loans. That's how it started. In fact, we went on a very famous demonstration against the PNDC government then on the issue of progressively taking off all the costs. So everybody, in one way or the other, accept that this is a necessary thing that a country must do. What we are talking here is about policy. When you're going to embark on any policy, you critically examine the policy. You look at the possible challenges that the policy will face, and immediately you set off the challenges, you also set off addressing the challenges that will come with the policy. This is where everybody is talking about, Father. There is a need for a national consensus on this policy of free education. By the former president. I said by the former president. There needs to be and that's the issue. Oh. All of us. It shouldn't be an MPP thing. Do you think it should be a national, holistic national program where all of us will contribute our little bit, because nobody is a repository of knowledge.
Do you think government is so far, even though it's implementing a policy, is just reluctant to perhaps be receptive to, it's not a criticism, the concerns being raised? That is where I have a problem with some of the communicators of the government. Once somebody bring out the issues challenging, it is for you to take it on board and work towards addressing them. Don't immediately dismiss the person and say it is political. No. Today, if my child is going to school and I'm not going to pay fees, it's a relief to me. It saves me some bucks. But the issue has to do that. I wouldn't also appreciate the fact that my child will go to school and come back with malaria. My child will go to school and be suffering from pneumonia or anything because he has to sleep outside. So far we haven't seen problems. We are seeing problems. Which is we are seeing problems of congestion with the giving rise to CSM. Oh. Well, sporadic reports. Oh. But CSM has always been with us. CSM has always been with us.
When was the last time we had CSM outbreak in schools?
Well,
when was the last time?
Well, if you go to each year in the north,
I said in the north. But what about the south? What about Middle Belt?
Well,
it used to be.
These days, the media has become more pronounced. So a little bit it gets to.
Thank you very much. So what we could have been having. So it means that problems and challenges will be highlighted more than before. So I'm saying that in view of that, let's critically accept the fact that. And you see, what I'm saying is that nobody is saying that don't look at the challenges. But what we're saying is that even what we are talking about, like we are talking about SDGs, it's supposed to be what? 4. If the policy as it started was discriminatory. No. Was discriminatory? Not even all first years are enjoying it.
Well, we know that.
Yeah. No. So those are the things we see. We as a people, we must think about it and see what we all go out, and then we all
the expressions of concerns. Yeah. Let's say if it's by the other side of the political divide, it doesn't seem to resonate among even the parents and even the ordinary people on the street.
Who told you?
Well, show me any scientific or observational survey, for example, that gives any rise or indication
for my people to me. A lot of complaints about calls.
I have also had
the issue that parents appreciate it. Yes. But the same parents are complaining about the challenges that are coming up.
Is it overwhelming?
It is. Saying, why not?
I am saying, Roland, I also say that I have had a lot of people call me and talk that. Look, I state, this is a matter for record, that my cousin now
who lives in a little
Who is
The,
an
the
NDC
NDC
man.
secretary.
he's a branch secretary
of the
NDC.
NDC.
He lives in a little village in the Upper Manya Krobo district. His tete couldn't go to secondary school, but his tete goes to secondary school. Now calls me and tells me that he would rather tete is in school than is at home.
Yeah.
Yes, he concedes that there are challenges. But this is a man who on his own did not have the capacity to put his son through school. For the first time, his son has gone to secondary school. Yes,
Right.
it is difficult. It is not easy. But now we'll tell you that my circumstances is the same. I am happy. When you talk about he sleeps on the floor, he doesn't want to hear that. Yeah, that is even me. That's what I do. So what is the big deal? But Tete has the opportunity to go to secondary school. One day he could pass out to become a good teacher,
Right.
or a good journalist, or a lawyer.
So, in other words, it's better to have
Come on.
education than not have knowledge.
It is better to have it under any circumstance.
We are making a mistake.
Look. Ask all the big people in this country. I think that sometimes you forget so easily. Sometimes you should call people like Professor Da and listen to their
The
story.
conditions
people
under
used
which-
to walk 7 miles to go to
I
primary
used to
school.
walk to school. That is not what we are talking
People
about.
used to walk 7 miles
That is not what we are talking about.
in and out to go
So
to
how do you solve
primary
people
school.
walking 7 miles?
But you
By
see,
creating access. Thank you. How do you solve this? You see, what you are saying is that there are policies, but every policy
Nobody-
comes with these
Well,
challenges.
this debate will never end.
nobody is
We're
saying
coming
that
to
it
you
is
live.
easy.
The
Nobody
digital
is
address
saying-
0993341
nobody is
live here, Kokomimli, here in Accra. But we know that there's also an ongoing issue in which a committee has been constituted by the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Sophia Kufu, and it's got to do with a petition that has been forwarded by the President to the Chief Justice. And now the committee that has been constituted is looking at the petitions against the EC boss and her 2 deputies, Charlotte Osei. We also have Georgina Opoku-Mankwa and, of course, Amadou Sile. Well, we're told now that the chair of the Electoral Commission and her lawyer, or through her lawyer, is asking or requesting the President, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, to furnish her with a copy of the petition seeking her removal from office for alleged breaches of the law. And we're told that according to the report, it would give her some greater knowledge about why the petition is seeking her removal and what really the content of the petition is in its entirety. But we know where we've come from to this very position. And sometimes it's got some tinge, or it's been tainted with some tinge of politics, but also a matter of the rule of law. But let me start with you, Mr. Neil Vanderpoy.
Well, Roland, first let me, through my brother, give this advice to the MPP from where you ended, that to avoid this tinge of politics in this whole matter, they must advise their, I don't know whether he's still acting, Deputy General Secretary, to stop talking like the days he used to be at Legon, talking keke.
Who are you talking about?
Obribwai.
The lawyer Obribwai.
Yes.
But were you mates? Were you contemporaries?
It was 1 year ahead of me.
Okay.
Oh,
But
so you know
everybody knows
so-
him.
so you know
when
him
we were
very
on
well?
campus, everybody knows him. Like, I don't want to be very vitriolic on him, but he's not helping the cause of government and our democracy with the sort of statements he's making.
I haven't heard anything else.
Just yesterday he talked, and if you even go to the Ghana web journal, you will see all those. You know, if you get up and you talking about it and say, yes, we have to change this electoral commission. Electoral commission has always been cheating in elections for the NDC since the days of Afarijan. MPP won elections under Afarijan. MPP has won elections under Charlotte Osei. So what are you talking about? That but for the electoral commission, NDC would never win any elections in this country. You know, you don't talk at your level. General Secretary of a party,
Deputy General
Secretary, and a lawyer. You don't talk like that. You don't talk like a drunkard. You understand me? You must be, everything that comes out of your mouth must aim at bringing people together as a general secretary. Because if you talk that way,
Deputy General
Secretary, oh, but deputy is a co-representative. If you talk that way, at anything that you say, I will take it political. And in addressing these issues, I will be political. But I wouldn't want to go his way. I would want to talk just like I'm talking with my brother here. Because anything that will be done, as far as the Electoral Commission is concerned, must inure to the sustainability of the democratic process we've begun. Like he said with the SHS, the rest, ours is an evolving democracy. It's not as aged as the American, the French, or the British democracy. We are growing and we will have challenges. Our system of democracy have had challenges since its inception in 1992, the Fourth Republic. And we've been trying to improve upon it. Unless somebody wants us to go to Mars and bring people to chair Electoral Commission, once they are Ghanaians, depending on where you stand politically, you may have problems with the way they do things. But we must build our institutions. Obama came and stood in front and said, look, we don't need strong men, we need strong institutions. When we have built our institutions, we have, look, even the American system up to today, the electoral system still have challenges.
So your point is what? In relation to this petition?
My point is that we should stop looking at individuals and look at institutional mechanisms that will make our institutions stronger and stronger, resilient, and be able to be sustainable. So that whoever we put there, because me, I'm saying, look, I don't care if Ejakun is the electoral commissioner. My brother here, I don't care if he's the electoral commissioner. What is important to me is what the people will decide at the polling station. You understand? Me, at the end of the result, before I left my office to the coalition center, I had all my results. So nobody at the coalition center could change my results. You understand me? So we must build our system that I don't care if Bawumia or any other MPP person is the electoral commissioner. If I win at my polling station and win in my constituency, that person cannot change the results.
Aren't we all complain because we're in Africa? Yeah, we're Africa.
So what I'm saying is that is why we should take personalities out of this and look at the institution. What all these cases of procurement and contract and all these things are institutional management decisions. What do we do to make insulate the Electoral Commission from such deficiencies in their management and administrative system? So
is that not what we're doing?
I'm saying when we have done that,
we're triggering the law.
What I'm
Once
saying,
we trigger the law, we're strengthening the institution. Is that not what we've been doing with the various sectional points of our democratic process, in which a political party will go to the Supreme Court? There's interpretation. It leads to a certain effect of implementation of a certain action that also improves the next election.
Wonderful.
And we've been doing that since 1993, and that's where we are today.
I'm saying that. I'm coming from what I'm saying that if left to this alone, we should not politicize this. Me, the president, by the Constitution,
is that not?
Well, I will not.
We know it's legal, but
I will want to see.
There are undercurrents
from my point of view, I will want to see that this is a petition that has been brought up by people. Natural justice says that the principle of natural justice says that the person must be given a fair hearing. So, as part of a fair hearing, it is important that the lawyer has asked for the petition, copy of the petition, so that he'll be able to address, because per the Chief Justice, the committee, they've given them certain questions to respond to. But it's important that I see the whole docket of a petition, that I will know the individuals who are petitioned, so that if I have to call witnesses, I'll be able to call witnesses pertaining to those things. So that's why I think we must allow the system to go, take our politics out of it, let the committee come out with this, because if the prima facie case have been established, then they have to respond. Let's see what the outcome, but then nobody should politically manipulate this system, because when you do that, it will give cause. Petitions upon petitions will come, and the president is bound to give it to the Chief Justice all the time.
So far, there are no indications that there are political interferences.
Let me say,
but we know that we're here talking like this because there had been constant comments against the person of the chair of the commission prior to the election,
which are unfounded,
of course, and then of course, which may have been official or not official, coming from leaders of the political parties, etc., which somehow have not helped matters to this day.
Roland.
Yes, sir.
Roland.
Yes, sir.
when we were growing up, maybe you remember, there used to be a song, now who calls Sam Moga?
Yeah.
This matter, now who calls Sam? Where did all of it start from?
So you're saying what?
A lawyer made a supplication on behalf of his clients. Before we could say Jack, all hell broke loose at the Electoral Commission.
That what?
The chairperson was accusing her deputies, the deputies were accusing. So you see, as for politics, if we want to politicize the matter, I will also want to ask, what is it that all the NDC communicators and people like Neil and Vanderpoel are rising up in arms in defense of the Electoral Commission, the chairperson of the electoral? Why?
Because we want a strong institution. We don't think politicians
you see,
must stamp out.
He is here saying that some people are saying things about the commission, the commission,
Yes.
the chairperson. I am also saying, why is it that if we are neutral and we are not being political, why is it that it is apparent that the NDC and its apparatchiks are up in arms in a defense of some of the people?
Or uncomfortable?
Yeah, we don't think that politicians must tanker with the Electoral Commission to suit their whims and caprices. Right. That's what we are talking about.
All I'm saying is that the elders have a saying, kukuru kukuru no jaya, keke no jaya. If the noise stops somewhere, if the push stops somewhere, the pull will also stop somewhere. As far as I'm concerned, this matter has been brought upon themselves. We have sat in this studio and I think that we have all agreed. I think it is shameful what has happened at the Electoral Commission. The accusations and counter-accusations have not come from
The political forces.
From the political forces. Madam Charlotte Osei has said that
it's actually been inbred or inborn, really. It's generated internally.
Oh, come on. and I mean, for me, I don't know whether the matter is subjudice or you can. For me, I really and truly, sometimes I think that there were people there who thought that they had helped people. They had helped a certain cause. And so when Afarajan retired, they were as competent to become chairpersons of the commission before they said that somebody had been brought from outside upon their head. If you ask me, this is my speculation. It's a speculative.
No, I think this one's got nothing to do with what's going on.
You know, and then if you have done the job, then when the big position comes, before you say Jack, then
monkey they work, but
Zambabu has come to chop.
So human emotions are at play.
So, but let it. The matter is before a properly constituted, constitutionally constituted body. Okay. Are the people involved known? Who are the Chief Justice was supposed to nominate one Supreme Court judge.
There are three people.
Yes, three.
Are the names known?
I don't think that has been speculated in the media so far, but
Yeah.
we know that the committee has been constituted.
Okay. So,
but maybe when they start sitting, everybody will.
So one Supreme Court judge, two appeal court judges,
and those people's profile will also be put into question.
They'll be profiled. Their profile will be profiled. Yeah.
Because under the principle of Nunes Judas Kosasua, people will want to know whether those people will not be biased.
Well, we'll see how that goes. We have to end our discussion this morning.
Roland,
sir.
This one, I don't think that we should put the politicians
any spin to it. Now, who caused them?
We have all lived in this country.
That's why I want you to caution Obrebuayi.
And I will also ask you to caution the ardent. This morning on Facebook, I have seen some gentleman says that if anybody dares touch the Electoral Commission, this country will burn.
Is it a known
party executive? So let's end the discussion.
I mean, I think that people have a bloated sense of their own ability. Who is he? What will happen?
Nothing will
Who is that
happen.
person? I will question the person.
Emmanuel Chremantin Ejaku is a member
Who
of
is that
Parliament for Ayawaso
Small
West Wogon
news
constituency.
Ajimai or something.
Oh, but
And
that
then
person, that is not
also
a
we've had in the
official
studio
of
Neil
NBC.
Lante Vanderpoy, member of Parliament for the Odododio constituency.